Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ladies Fashion Showcase. Finally, we're back. How are you, Mel?
Oh my God, it's been a hot minute, but girl, you've been busy. You've been busy
Yeah.
getting opportunities, doing some amazing things. I've just been over here picking up weights and putting them down. It is
I
what
know.
it is. She does what she does. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm still recovering, okay? It'll take me a few days. That's how
I
I feel.
mean,
It'll take me a bit. But yeah, here we go. We got a few people in here. Holy moly. We got Ed, who's been waiting for us to go live for the longest time. Bobby Stats, as we call him. Oh, look at Brett over here. Thank you, Brett. And Bobby, good afternoon, my wonderful friends. Good afternoon, Mr. Bobby. How are you doing?
Mr. Money Munson.
Yeah, it's been a while. Sorry, it's been my fault, guys, not Mel. So blame me if anything. Just so you know, every time, every time we
You
think
have here.
we're good to go, Astrid happens. There you go. Bobby's telling us he's wonderful. Good job, Bobby. I'm glad you're wonderful. Uh, yeah, I just this was one of those. Here we go, Tom. How are you, Tom? Thank you, Tom. If it wasn't for you, my video wouldn't be doing so well.
That's
So
debatable. That's debatable. You're pretty awesome.
no, definitely, I couldn't have done it without his advice. So I can uh, say that will stop by by. Uh, hey, yes, you can always blame me. It's my fault. The show doesn't happen, to be honest. I'm just being completely honest. But I
Hey.
figure we'll start with the. I don't want to call them little stories because they're not little stories. They're just like a smaller topics, I guess, if you want to call them. And then we'll go for the I don't want to call it the main event because it doesn't deserve to be the main event, but we have other stuff that are bigger fish
Yeah,
to
I
fry.
mean, the drama tends to be a little juicy, right?
Yeah,
Juicy, juicy. There's a nice little pun that we can use in there.
there you go.
We're going to start with some quick stardom news. We're going to have more details on all these topics coming out on the Japanese wrestling update later on our local establishment. But the first thing we wanted to mention, because it's been a hot minute and we wanted to update about the ladies, is that we have a new world champion in Stardom Wrestling. The amazing Maika was able to defeat Suzu Suzuki at the Queendom show, the end of 2023 there. After Tom Nakano did have to unfortunately vacate the title after an injury. Um, Mike, though, on a hot roll right now, founding a new faction also, Empress Nexus Venus with Mina Shirakawa, to kind of go forward with this championship. I'm very much looking forward to that. And then the last little bit of news with Micah is that Saya Kamatani has earned the right to challenge her for the world title. It'll be a very, very interesting match to see if Saya Kamatani is ready for that step up from the wonder level to the world level. I know, Astrid, you don't tend to watch a lot of Stardom, but what do you
Mhm.
think about Michael winning the title here?
I love how it matches so well with this gear. Like this is on point, and I love it so much. Like it definitely catches my attention, the picture more than anything. But I know, like you said, I don't watch it, but still, like being one of those people, like she's one of those that I always hear something about from you. So it makes me excited to have her with a championship, and it's just like catching my attention more and more often. So I like seeing that from her too.
100%. She's been such a powerhouse since I started watching. Speaking of Olay, I've been having a very good time watching Micah. She is one of my favorites, definitely one of my girl crushes in Stardom. So, of course, I'm very happy to see her rocking the title. Again, we'll have more information on her faction and everything on that on the Japanese Wrestling Update later tonight on our local establishment. So, the next little bit of news is for Stardom. We do have, yes, Bobby. Great news, Micah winning that title. She's going to carry that very, very well, I think, especially coming off of someone like Tam Nakano, who also won a few awards this year at the end of the year award show for Stardom. So freaking cool for
Nice.
that. The next bit of news is we have all of the rookies, as it were, moving up in stardom. So the first one we had was Yuzuki. She surprisingly, this was a big surprise for myself and my partner Andre. She actually defeated Hanako, who had been really working hard, good couple more months before Yuzuki, Rana, and also Sayaka Kurara, who Andre just loves saying her name. But did win the Rookie of the Year, so she did have the ability to join a faction first, and she ended up joining God's Eye, or sorry, I'm not God's Eye, Stars, which is headed by IWGP champion Mayu Iwatani. Stars getting a little big for me. They're starting to become kind of like a big faction. But the thing with this faction is they work so well together that if you like just pick and choose each person, all of their faction moves still work. They just have their own signature that they work into it. So they're a very functional and well working group. And I think Yuzuki is going to get a lot of experience and knowledge from all of those ladies. The next girl was Rana Yagami, and she was actually the one who joined God's Eye. Andre and I both agreed that that's where she should kind of start. She does have that karate background, which is very similar to member Suri, who is also the captain of God's Eye. But we also kind of are hoping, or at least I'm hoping, for a bit of a heel turn later because her look and her style, I think, would work actually much better with the Oedo Tai, which is the only heel faction that Stardom kind of has right now. But again, I do think she's going to learn a ton from Suri, from Mirai, and Amisori, and as well as Inaba, who is a part of God's Eye, kind of in and out there. The next one, who we already saw an amazing picture of, was Hanako. Hanako has been privileged enough to join world champion Maika in her new faction, Empress Nexus Venus. Again, I think that Hanako is up for a great opportunity joining Maika here. Just the power that Hanako has and just the ability that she has. She's a very spot on wrestler. She has to do everything right. I would say she's maybe a little perfectionistic, but it comes off so beautifully in her work. And I'm very excited to see all of these rookies, again, as it were, going into factions very, very quickly. Because in NJPW, we do tend to see them kind of meander about for maybe a year or so around the ring before they start to get that um, kind of interaction. So seeing these girls get into factions with only being there for maybe 3 or 4 months is just speaks so many volumes to their training. Lauren, hello, Lauren. What match should I show someone who has never watched Joshi wrestling but is interested? Oh, you you definitely want to see Melball's match of the year 2023, Julia versus Megan Bain. It's going to be the best combination of the Joshi style as well as the North American style, kind of combining and a nice little like step in before going full Joshi because we know them girls hit hard. Hard,
Yeah.
hard, hard. But if you do also have access to the NJPW site, I would actually recommend checking out some of the intergender matches on there. The match between the Aces and the Samurais, Utami Hayashishida and Hiroshi Tanahashi taking on Maika, world champion Maika, and Hiroki Goto was a banger of a match, but also Filthy Tom Lawler and Suri taking on Julia and Zack Sabre Jr. was just an incredible match. And again, a great combination of that North American and Joshi style
Mhm.
before going full Joshi. Good
No, and I like,
question, Lauren. Thank you.
yeah, I was gonna say that's a good question. I like how you bring up with that too. We get the topic of Julia and Megan Bain, who's both of them have been such hot topics recently. Julia, after she becomes a free agent, like that's super interesting to think about where she'll land afterwards. And Megan, supposedly, I would say for now, returning to AEW sometime soon. So one thing I've been noticing is how AEW has been stacking their women's roster lately. You know, with the signing of Diana and obviously the rumors of Monet debuting in March, and it's like those are some big names now. And I feel like, especially now with Mariah that they added her recently, they've been stacking the roster in such a way that I'm like, I wonder what TK is planning because like you wouldn't sign this many people if you're not gonna use them, especially somebody like a Diana and like Mercedes who
Mhm.
have such big names to their to their names obviously. So just like I think about it, it's like, what are you really cooking, TK? Because I'm just curious since I want to be in that kitchen. I want a glimpse of what's happening because it just seeing so many names being talked about the same conversation. It's like, what are you really planning here? Because it's like there's no way you're planning to do this with just one woman's match per show. Something has to be
Mhm.
happening here sometime soon. And especially when somebody like Mercedes who advocates to have more for the women, as we have seen her do
Mhm,
the way she did in from NXT to the main roster. So really curious
mhm.
about that. Oh, and yeah, Bobby's bringing
Yeah.
another a great one, a Queen Aminata. Yeah, her
Yeah.
her first couple matches and like she did like I think 3 matches in 1 week and like a week and a half or something like that. And holy crap, she's incredible. Even when she's losing, she looks great. And I want to see more of her. And yeah, it just makes you think of like when you're stacking that talent like that, something makes me feel like something's happening. And as
Hey,
Ed and I are
matches don't
hoping,
mean anything.
as Ed and I are hoping that Julia goes to NXT so we can watch her on a weekly basis. Sorry, Mel, we want to steal her. That's
I
the only thing.
mean, she's being stolen regardless. Going
Yes.
into the next topic of Julia,
Hmm.
it's very obvious at this point that she is preparing for her exit, dropping that trios title, which is the blue one there, um, with her teammates Thekla and Mai Sakurai, to God's Eye, which who includes Suri, who also used to be Julia's former tag partner. So you definitely see kind of like a passing of the torch going on. Also, Julia's having these amazing matches. She always has amazing matches, but she's having these amazing matches consistently back to back,
Yeah.
and that's usually what we start to see with someone who
Hmm.
is going to be starting to make their exit. On top of that, we also saw her disbanding her faction, Donna
Hmm.
Del Mondo, which she created. Andre and I went into a little bit more detail on that on our Andre Melball Wrestling Talk episode when that news came out. But essentially, it's like it wouldn't make sense to have the faction still remaining if the Italian person is leaving and the faction is an Italian name. So it just kind of makes sense. She is starting to kind of, sweep up everything, kind of starting to bow out. But what's amazing about it is that she's also putting over these amazing women in the process while still looking strong herself, which just speaks to how good she is. Um, I am hoping for a little bit, maybe more of an independent kind of thing to happen first before she starts to go to one of the
Hmm.
shows, only because selfishly I would like the opportunity to be able to see her in a little bit more of a less chaotic scenario in the indies as opposed to going to an AEW show or WWE show, which can be a little chaotic for a Mel Ball, especially because she can't remember the rest of the show because she gets a
It's okay.
little
NXT is a little
crazy.
bit shorter, so it'll help out. It's a shorter show and shorter pay per
It's,
view too.
it's fair. It's fair.
Yeah. And Lauren brings up a good point. Revolver did a women's exhibition tournament. Renee Pickett hosted it. Do you think that maybe AW Talent Stack use kind of like a G1 or the Continental Classic? I've been hoping for some kind of
Oh,
Continental Classic like that with the ladies, just
mm,
because I feel like sometime soon I feel like they might bring some kind of another like title for the women because there's so many women on the roster,
mm,
to be honest, for only 2 championships. So
mm,
yeah, I thought about that too because thinking of like we had Renee hosting it and Moxie was involved with it as well. So that made me think like well, like maybe kind of that was a kind of like auditions kind of way for other people.
ah,
And having that Bailey Starks was the one that won that was part of that too. Maybe think about that connection between AEW Ring of
oh,
Honor. So and I watched like I want to say like half of it. I did purchase it. I did watch like the second half of it, and it was such a great tournament that it almost felt like it's kind of like a way of them testing how it would be, and that's the vibe it gave me as well. Like the way Lauren is thinking, so it just gave me that kind of vibe as well. Um,
okay.
and Lauren, hey, if you're watching this fantastic Smarty, you should hit that like button with your people's elbow and smash that subscribe button. Come on, you just got 200. I can do more, but
Heck yeah.
but no, I felt that way too. It almost felt kind of like a test to see how people will react to like a women's tournament. And I felt
Mhm,
like it was nice to see on social media. It was like the hashtag they used for the show was trending. So maybe think of like, look, there obviously people were talking about it, people are watching it, and a lot of people
mhm,
were like, look at the woman that they have on the card, and they were actually supporting it because of the woman on the card. So I thought that would have been interesting too.
mhm,
Here we
mhm.
have Melonhead. I've seen AW thinking they will have much of a plan. Seems like wishful thinking at times. Yeah, I definitely feel you on that. I feel like that's probably one of the reasons why I've been turned off a little bit from AEW because I keep hoping for a little
Mhm.
bit of change. Have been noticing little changes here and there. But yeah, just a matter of like I feel like now that they have a larger like talent pool, I feel like there's no way you can deny the talent and tell them we're not going to be able to do this because look, there's so many of us now. Like I'm hoping for that woman's like blood and guts, for example, things like that, to show like the women can do what the guys can do and even better because they can do it better than them too. But yeah, things like that. I'm hoping that when whatever the guys have, I want the girls to have it too, because if you have like the Owen tournament, the girls have had it too, so that's nice to see. But like Lawrence mentioned, the Continental Classic, the guys did it. There was nothing for the girls, so I would like to see something happening similar to it. Maybe obviously it's not going to be called exactly the same, but something in that similar kind of tournament aspect I would like to see in AEW sometime soon. I mean, they definitely have the people to do it now, so we'll see how
Mhm.
that goes. But yeah, I just we'll see.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, how great would that be too for everyone involved? Not just like the company,
Hmm.
but all the wrestlers involved, all the companies where the wrestlers are from. I mean, this
Yeah.
just does wonders for the industry and for how, wrestling just looks in general. It really adds to the marketability of the product. I love it. Who should be the next? Oh, strong women's champion. I, oh, that's a tough one because I'd like to see it defended a little bit more in North America. And I would like to see the Joshi women coming over for that, but I think it's time that someone from North America held the title again. I think Julie has been doing a phenomenal job with it. I think she's at like 8 title defenses now, 7 or 8. Bobby Stats will let us know. Um, but yeah, I think it's time that we start to see it kind of passed off to someone here and someone who I feel has been constant in the NJPW, will say, title kind of thing. Stephanie Vaquier.
Hmm.
I mean, she's been coming back and forth for both the Strong and IWGP Women's Championship. I think she's put in a lot of work, and I think she definitely deserves a little bit more of a run with that. I also think that Lady Frost has also earned that with her tournament win last year, also. And I think she's been a little looked over a little bit in the last little while. I would like to see her elevated a little bit more because she does tremendous work and puts in so much effort. I love watching her work. She just worked Mariah May, didn't she?
Yeah, I think she did recently as well. And I know like at least Lady Frost has been involved more like Ring of Honor, so I feel like she's been more in like the background of it kind of. But
Okay.
definitely when I saw the question, I was thinking Stephanie Raquel, please, that's the one I want to see. And then you said, it was like I knew we were gonna be connected on that one. But no,
Yeah.
yeah, I seen Lady Frost more like kind of like in the background, which I wasn't expecting her to be. I know she has experience more than a lot of those girls, so I thought she would be more present, if you want to call it that, from what I've seen. But I'm like, since we're already talking about Ring of Honor, might as well break the news. OLE will have Ring of Honor coverage coming up soon, with the what I call the Ring of Honor Human Encyclopedia, Kyle Sparks, and a
Mhm.
friend. So I won't say much because I'll let that get revealed more on OLE since we're not in OLE right now. But
Yes.
um, yeah, definitely watch out for that. So we're doing have Ring of Honor coverage on the same night as Ring Respect Radio, and then after that, hopefully we'll get some TNA coverage, and then we'll keep going from there. Cover
Yeah.
all the, you know, uh, cover all the bases and drop like I like for the OLE brand synergy. Um,
Hooray.
yeah, so we're definitely having Ring of Honor coverage soon. I definitely wanted somebody like at least personally like thinking of like somebody that not only watches the show but I feel like lives the show because and Kyle's such a like human encyclopedia. Once we had him
Mhm.
for the final battle post show, I told the group, this is the guy, look at him, he knows what he's talking about more than any of us do. um so
Yes.
obviously we'll let OLE reveal on the socials, everything else. But yeah, it's nice to see it. I'm excited to watch them because I know how passionate both people are about the product and how much Kyle knows about the product. It's just incredible because I wish I had that kind of memory. It makes me so jealous, to be honest. I really wish I could just be like, Seth Rollins defended the war title on this and this thing against this person. I can't do that, really. I wish.
I barely remember what I had for breakfast this morning.
Yeah. I barely remember
We
what happened
consider it a
yesterday. So,
blessing. Yeah, we
yeah.
consider it a
So,
blessing that I got it this far, right?
Yeah, I'll definitely give him the props. It's like I don't know how he remembers. Like, yeah, it was this final battle in 2000. It was this person against that person. It's like, how do you remember that? I want to
I'm
know.
calling him from now on. My goodness.
Yeah, so I feel like the coverage should go to somebody that knows what they're talking about, is passionate about the product. So Trust me,
Mhm.
I feel like I have the booking powers in OLE, so I put my booking powers to to the
Oh, yeah,
test
thank
for that
you.
one. So
I love
we
it.
definitely have Kyle coming, which is really exciting. I really can't wait to watch him be himself and just talk about a company that he loves so much. So it's just really
Yeah.
incredible.
Yay.
Um, wait, actually, what do we do? Rex on the pre-show? What? If I'm reading that wrong, maybe I think I misspelled something there. I don't know. We'll see. Um, but yeah, I'm excited for that for Owali, and then hopefully after that we'll have the TNA coverage, something that I'm also looking forward to because TNA is a company. It's there we go. I was gonna say record. I was trying to like put it in my mind, but I couldn't pinpoint it. Um,
I don't know what dwarfing is, but you probably shouldn't be driving.
I knew he misspelled something. I had a feeling. Um, ew, Bobby's bringing a good one here. GJ Ray too.
Mm. Mm,
I like what you're cooking there, Bobby.
I mean, and she's over in Japan right now, isn't she? I've been seeing a lot of pictures on her Instagram.
Yeah.
Jealous I don't get to go to the Disneyland there. Maybe that's a bucket list for us, Astrid.
Yeah. I'm like it's on my bucket list. I'll go there eventually. Yeah. But yeah, I was just thinking about like TNA is another one that I've been wanting to have coverage for because TNA is one of those companies that it's dear to my heart. So I definitely wanted to be covered and people to talk about it, especially now that we get I was gonna say like a resurgence of it being under TNA again. So um I figure we'll kind of change a little bit of our course now to the other big topic that we have within the last few weeks. For obviously those of you that haven't heard about it, but this really came out the weekend of the Rumble, and being that I was at the Rumble, I was not able to really talk about it. Um, we had a 67-page lawsuit coming out talking about Vince McMahon and the allegations. I'm not gonna say the word because I don't want to get banned, especially on any other streaming platform. So let's just say just allegations. I'm not gonna say any other word because obviously like I said, I don't want to get banned anywhere. So yeah, this came out a lot during the Rumble weekend. So it was um I can say from my experience being there at the media junket that Friday, a lot of people were wondering if the press conference was going to get canceled because people knew the questions were going to get brought up by members of the media. They were like, "Is it going to be a press conference? Is it going to get canceled? Are they going to like turn off the comments the way like the AEW did when the Chris Jericho stuff kind of surfaced online?" So there was a lot of questions and doubts regarding the press conference in itself. But I'm just thinking I haven't had the heart to read the document because I definitely don't feel like I can read that in entirely and be like fine afterwards. I feel like it would take me a couple days to recover, so I'm just not reading that at all for the moment. I don't think I have the mindset to be honest about reading it, but at the same time, thinking of the like allegations as a whole and the bits and pieces that I've read and seen, it doesn't surprise me to be honest. It really doesn't. It just like it where it's just kind of I don't want to say bad, but oh, thank you, Lauren. I read it. Happy to reference anything necessary. um, Yeah, there you go. It took me 2 days, 3 days to recover. Yeah, I definitely don't know how many days I'll be able to recover from that one. But I figured because I see a lot of men talking about it, I feel like it's necessary to have a conversation coming from women as well and seeing
Mm,
that point of view because this is something that's obviously very serious. It's not the first person we're gonna see doing it. It's not the last person we're not gonna see doing it. It's just sad that it's like we're still in the late 2000s. I don't want to say late, but like late. I was gonna say late 2020s if you kind of call it like that, I guess. Um, and then something like this is still kind of recent and still happening nowadays. Um, yeah, nothing surprising at all coming from this. It's just the fact that the first one of the first things I thought about, not only aside from the victim, but thinking as well of like the timeline when it talked about Laurinaitis being part of like involved in this, made me think about the Bella twins' mom, Kathy, because and this is just the time that she was going through her brain stuff and she was very sick. So just thinking of like the fact that she probably went through this alone because he wasn't there, was more involved in this. And then now it came up that he basically threw McMahon under the bus too, like basically saying it did happen. I was just like a participant but not willing, I guess if you want to say it like that. And just that part of like, yeah. And Las Ballonheads has a very little surprises about rich men with power. That accurately describes everything. Um, And it said, wait, Sir Alex, we just wanted to ask if you're aware Brock Lesnar has been removed from WWE Supercard. People are saying he could be removed from 2K24 as well to release in March. Yeah, I've seen little bits and pieces about it. Again, this is something like he wasn't like named exactly, but people can gather clues and figure out that it's him. And then first it started with him not being in the Rumble like he was supposed to be, supposedly, to put it like that, based on reports. So seeing that, again, it doesn't surprise me either. And just thinking about like you're basically ended up leaving this way instead of leaving the way you probably wanted to leave, unfortunately. But
Mhm,
thinking of all the people that could be involved in this, I know this is just kind of like the start, and I feel like more things are gonna come out of it. And the other thing that I don't want to say I'm scared because I'm not involved with it like that, but I'm beginning to think, imagine all the people that are gonna be named dropped during this whole ordeal. First it started with McMahon, then Laurinaitis, and then it's gonna keep going from there. And I feel like, and then with Lesnar as well. And I feel like when I have a lot of people little by little being named and involved in this, that it's gonna disappoint a lot of people, especially like us as fans within the pro wrestling community. So that's something that I am not looking forward to at all. I feel like every almost every day we get some kind of new information. So yeah, it's such a sensitive topic to think about as well. I feel like a
mhm,
lot of people are just dismissing it, and I keep thinking of the victim of everything as well. And just I feel bad that she had to go, she experienced something like this too. It's not something you should be experiencing, especially in the workplace. It should be a place that you're comfortable in as well. So just a lot of factors and a lot of things happening at the same time in this. And it's like I know, Mel, I was sending it to you as well over the weekend as I was in the Rumble. I know I wanted to talk about it, but I couldn't because I was obviously during the junket when all this stuff was really coming out. So a lot of us were having conversations within the room, but nobody was talking about it because we were participating in it. Um,
mhm,
and then saying, Alex just wanted to mention ESPN is no longer covering WWE and it's covering AW instead. Yeah, I feel like I don't want to say the bad thing, but it's just the fact that Vince is no longer in WWE. But I feel like this is going to be a dark cloud over the company. And
mhm,
it's not going to affect the rich people. It's going to affect the workers within the company. Because if you don't get coverage for the company, obviously the workers are not going to get the people watching and things like that. So that's the thing that it ends up hurting the workers now instead of hurting him, if you think about it in that aspect sometimes. So yeah, it's a lot of layers and bullet points to it. I don't think I'm ever gonna like
mhm,
think of everything at the same time today. But I don't know, Mel, if you have your thoughts on this part of it, because I know it'd be like it's a back and forth about this too.
mhm, mhm. I echo a lot of the sentiment that you feel about this. It is something that like I used to see jokes about all the time for years and years and years. People just joking about it with the McMahon memes of him like in the chair, like, hey. And it's like now that it's coming out, now we're taking it seriously. We had to obviously know that this was happening when the jokes were happening. We still supported it then. Um, that being said, though, you're absolutely right. It's just going to negatively impact the people who are there now. And some of the people there now aren't the people who are part of this.
Mhm.
And that's what bothers me a lot about the situation. Um, in regards to McMahon, though, I mean, I'm glad it's out now and that he can't like Jimmy Snuka his way out of this. At this point, he's still mentally coherent, debatable, but he's mentally coherent enough to be able to acknowledge if he did right or wrong, I think. And the ball needs to start getting rolling before he can't do that. But what's disgusting is just looking at him and knowing how just disgustingly frail and old he is. And this woman is so freaking young. To think that he felt that he had that power. And not even just him, everyone potentially involved also. And like to think that he was setting this up with not even just, you know, not just with like people in the corporate, but other people. It just, it disgusts me. Because like, as women, both of us know we've had incidences at work throughout our working career where we've been treated not as badly as this woman was, but there's been situations where men have felt that it's okay to do these things to us. And I'm glad to see people reacting negatively about it now. It's taken a very long time to get there, but I'm glad to see people reacting about it, even if it is not in the favor of the victim. The tension is still being brought to it, and there's not a whole lot of defense that a lot of the people who are trying to defend McMahon can stand on. Because, like, what are you going to say? That it's his privilege that she's his property because she works for it? Like, what I hope out of this, or what I hope happens out of this, is a lot more eyes kept on how people are being treated within companies. And I really hope that these NDAs that I've been hearing all about, that people start saying no to them, just in general. Because this this is why these things shouldn't exist. It hides abuse, and it shouldn't be a thing. And if you're kind of working into a company and going into them and they're like, yeah, we don't want to talk to you about, or we don't want you talking about what's happening backstage, that's going to be a pass. That tells me that I'm giving you an okay to do things to me, and I'm not allowed to tell the police that you did something illegal to me. No, nay, nay, I say. That's this whole thing has really kind of like made me as a fan just go, man, why though? Why can't you just work? Why can't you go to work and do the work for the work of what the work is? Why do you guys have to mix that stuff? Why do you have to think that that's your privilege to do also? Doesn't make sense. I'm gonna end up rambling about this if we don't pull this back in together, though.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then to know that more workers are also involved. I mean, the situation with Brock being pulled from like every kind of thing, it doesn't make him look innocent in that situation. You know, like he's saying anything, but like the pulling almost looks like an admittance of guilt. But on the same hand, it could also just be a he's too old for the drama and wants to distance himself. So it's like until he says something, Lesnar's involvement, I think, is a little gray. But like not surprised about Vince, not surprised about Laurinaitis. Wouldn't be surprised if like most of their board was doing the same thing. Wouldn't be surprised if creative was. Wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't. I wouldn't be surprised because he's created this environment that people feel safe doing that. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate.
I wanted to go back to the comments. Mr. Alex,
Mm,
WB used to be huge in New Zealand as well, but after allegations came out, people either became disillusioned or they switched to AEW instead. And I definitely understand people wanting to do that too, just taking that
mhm,
moment because it just feels like you're tied to it if you're watching the company too. That's why I said in the end it ends up hurting the workers that are there right now.
mhm,
And Lauren, the people who don't joke but do talk about these men abusing people are like Mox and Foley, who call that abusing their books, and
mhm,
like Watch who joked about it. And Alex, oh, sorry,
mhm.
Alex also saying, just mentioning when the allegations on Vincent Brock came out, it was enough to affect the 2K video game, where people canceled their pre-order and demanded refunds as well.
So
Um,
crazy.
and as Melon says, NDA should be about not telling people a secret recipe for a chicken coating and ingredients for fizzy drink, not this stuff. Yeah,
I agree. I
yeah, I would
agree.
rather have that. Yeah, it's just and not only that, but also thinking about the fact that a lot of people are putting the timeline kind of together about Stephanie's exit having to be like she didn't return the second time around because Vince was involved in the company again. And if you
Mhm,
think about it, like Nick Khan and Triple H, and I think it was her, the third one, they voted against him returning to the company. And once he
mhm.
did, Stephanie left and didn't return. So I think it's interesting that if your own daughter doesn't want to be in the company when you're in the company, that tells you something. That really does. So
Yeah. Isn't
I'm glad.
Shane also not okay with him?
Yeah, that's why she left the company. She basically resigned and just hasn't said anything about the company ever since.
And that was Shane, right?
No, that was Stephanie.
But, like, Shane also is
Yeah.
pretty estranged from
Hmm.
his father also.
Yeah.
When both of your children want nothing to do with you, at some point in time, you should maybe think that that's a problem.
Yeah.
You know, if your behavior is affecting the relationship with your family, Look inward.
Yeah. Yeah, saying as Alex says, there are people who will still buy 2K, but they have been vocal on Twitter and Discord saying Brock Lesnar Vince should not be in the game if they are, but they won't buy the big game. Yeah, I feel like if a lot more people kind of pressure the company, it might tell them to remove them in that sense of it.
Mhm.
I I feel like with the game in itself, like I said, like if you think about it this way, it ends up hurting the workers because we have, for example, Rhea and Bianca on the cover, which is something that we haven't talked about too. So it's the first time we have two women on the cover. So like imagine thinking, oh, there's gonna be less sales this year because of the McMahon thing, and then they're gonna end up saying, oh, it's because the girls were on the cover because something like that would happen, and then they probably will end up doing it again. That's what I mean about like it hurts the workers right there right now
Mhm.
more
Mhm.
than obviously the people that were involved to begin with, and that's the only part of like thinking like we have Bianca, the first black woman on the cover of a video game. Bianca and Rhea together, the first two women on the cover, is something to be celebrated.
Mhm.
We should be
Oh
talking
yeah.
about them being on the cover, not how obviously McMahon and Lesnar being in the video game is going to affect the sales, because then they're
Yeah.
going to blame it on the cover stars, and it's just like I feel like they did great picking them and Cody as well because they have been working their butts off and they
Mhm.
deserve to have something like this. And to tell you, like, if you haven't seen it, definitely go back to Abby's YouTube channel and watch the video when they get revealed. Then they got the cover, and just seeing their reactions. It's just so priceless to watch. So it's like I don't
Mhm.
want those people, if you see them like that, to get affected by this. So
Mhm.
I feel like this should be what is the face of the company. Yeah,
Mhm.
it says that like Shane was also on the Maniac card, and it's like Shane is one of those people like he comes in and kind of fades out when he leaves, and then he returns out of nowhere and things like that. So it
Yeah.
happens. I don't want to say often, but it's happened before, so it's not surprising. But like you said, I just thinking
It's a
about like
McMahon thing.
yeah, if you see your kids still not wanting to like be near you or because they're in charge of the company, that tells you something. I
Mhm.
do hope that now that we have more of like Nick Khan and Triple H in charge, and even Shawn Michaels with an NXT, which if you guys haven't heard it, definitely look up. A lot of people have posted the thread on Twitter or even the like the video or audio call or the conference call they had with HBK for Vengeance Day, and the way that he answers the questions about the allegations, I feel like he did very well because even he says like I'm not PR trained. I'm just telling you, you know how I work my things around here in NXT, and he's like I told obviously the talent to feel comfortable enough to talk to me, and he said in such a way that you can tell he wasn't thinking about it ahead of time. He just thought about it on the spot, and it
Mhm.
sounds like so much better than what Hunter said during the Rumble press conference. And he even said it, he's like, I'm not PR trained. I'm just telling you how it is here. We we have talked about it here and there, but we told talent like at least if anything like that happens, you're open to tell us about it. And I'm glad that at least people like HBK are bringing like a little bit of change in that culture there. And it's like that's what we need to see. Those little bits and pieces of change in culture because it ends up being something little, but it ends up being bigger and bigger as it is. And I feel like it ends up having a more positive change, which is what I hope happens now with the new like Endeavor company, if you think about it that way.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
as Alex says, just my opinion in regards to the allegations on Vince, Brock Lesnar, Laurinaitis, actions have consequences. Yeah, they definitely should have. Yeah. Um.
That's a nice way of saying fuck around and find out.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah. I think with in regards to HBK and Triple H, something that I've been thinking a little bit about lately is that really does show us the benefits of having former workers working with current workers in the background. Workers who have hung up their boots for the most part or permanently. This is the kind of best case scenario for the workers going forward if they do have legitimately that open door policy where they can feel comfortable going to people like Hunter, going to people like HBK and saying, "Hey, this is happening. Let's fix this." And then having the ability to fix it is a completely different thing, but opening up the door is already a start from where they kind of were before. But yeah, in regards to the, actions have consequences, yeah. I mean, they honestly couldn't think that they would get away with this. This is a social media age. You can't really do too much nowadays without somebody finding something out. And if the wrong person finds something out, it's just snowballed. You're exposed. You may as well just cancel yourself and cancel your plans. Just stay home for a little bit. Wait out the storm. But yeah, this whole situation has really had a lot of fans reevaluating again who they're watching, has a lot of companies reevaluating who they're watching. And it's unfortunate that the man who caused all these problems isn't even there anymore. He's already benefited from his behavior by making all of this money all over the years. He's good. And he sells that big ass mansion that none of his kids are going to anymore. He's going to have even more money. Like, this is why I hope that while he is still coherent and mentally competent, such as it were, that he gets sued and just everything taken away from him to the point where like it's just what at this point he deserves. You can't do what you did, affect the people you affected, and expect to just walk off scot free without it. And you're just not that powerful, sir. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but definitely, I
Old
definitely
man
want
with
to applaud.
dementia.
Yes. But I definitely want to applaud more HBK on his responses towards the questions because I think he
Yeah.
did very well with those two.
Mhm.
He was also asked about the female presence in the PC, and he said that Saramato is still there, like training the ladies, and still there for the ladies, like open and available for them as well. So it's nice to see like him talking. It's like it's not just me, like there's other people here that can talk to, and I feel like he did better than Hunter as at like answering those questions, and he went more into like not I want to say into detail, but he went more into it than Triple H did, and he did very well. And he even
Mhm.
said it. He's like, I'm not trained for any of this. I just knew. He's like, in other words, he said, I knew and expected the media to ask these questions. So I like he came already with a mindset that he knew somebody was going to ask the question, and
That's
he
fair.
did better than Triple H. So I definitely applaud him for the way he's doing it. It's nice to see that change, especially when you think of NXT, which is where everybody it's really starting nowadays, and to bring that culture change from like I don't want to say the bottom, but for the start to to continue
Mhm.
on. Um, but I
Keep in
figure we'll
mind
change.
also that Hunter probably has been dealing with this kind of ish on a lot more different of a level.
Yeah,
Also being married to Stephanie, having
yeah,
he would deal with he's probably exhausted, that poor man. He's already had heart surgery once. Like,
yeah.
I honestly I hope it is not the case, but I wouldn't be surprised if he starts to have heart problems again after this. 'Cause this just seems like a massive unnecessary stressor for him,
Mhm. Yeah.
which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I can imagine, Ben. And then I kind of figured maybe that's why he also said let's focus on the positives, which it didn't come out right.
Mhm.
But I'm guessing this is what he wanted to do. We're just thinking like we had a great week, well, and then a lot of positive things happened over the weekend with the Rumble. But then we're talking about the one negative we have, which I kind of get from his standpoint of like he's probably thinking, look at everything I've been doing to change everything here. But then they're
Mhm.
focusing on something that I wasn't involved in for now, to put it like that, because he wasn't named in anything so far. But
Yeah.
that's how I thought about it, and I kind of feel bad because I was thinking of like the sense of like he's thinking like the whole Rumble week is my whole work. This is my project. I'm doing the whole work here. And then we're not talking about my work. We're talking about somebody else's who I'm not responsible for because he's an adult. So
Yeah. Yeah, we're not talking about all the work I did, we're talking about someone else's F up.
yeah.
I get that,
So
I get that.
yeah. So I get that sense of it. That's why I think he also said let's focus on the positives because to put it like that, we'll talk about our real main event, which is the Rumble. Being
Mhm.
that you watched it,
I
Mel was
did.
watching a WWE pay per view, guys. Can you believe it?
I
Um,
know.
and I was there on site, so I haven't talked about it to anybody really, aside from like the interviews that I had. But let's talk about the women's Rumble. I was like, how did you feel watching that? Because I know you don't watch WWE often, so how was that for you?
I mean, that first half, those first, 15 women that came out, I was like, "Yo, let's freaking go." That was the most stacked thing I have seen in such a long time. But then Jordan Grace coming out, I fell off the couch at that point. I was like, I am in dreamland. This is perfect. Everything is right in my world right now. But to see who she got to be able to stand in the ring with, and Bianca and Ivy. Her and Ivy, I mean, gosh dang. Both those women super, super strong. I love seeing Ivy in there. And you get to interview Ivy. I was jealous. I want her shoulders. Um, yeah, it was such an exciting rumble for me and such a way to start off the show. When I saw that they were opening with that, I was like, yo, what? You couldn't give us like a little bit of a lead in? Like one of those matches could have been at the beginning there to lead into that because I did find it difficult to stay focused for the rest of the show
Mhm.
after that banger of an opener. Astrid, what did you think
Yeah.
being there live?
Uh, I have to think about it from the order. That's why I went to look at the entrant order, just so I don't forget anything. Um, First, when Naomi's music came out, there was already the rumor that she was going to be part of it since the Orlando taping. So when I met her, I literally just wanted to say, "See you at the Rumble" to see her reaction, but I felt bad if I said it, so I didn't. But I was close to saying it. So I was like, it's nice to see that I'd met her at the TNA tapings, and not even a week or two later, I see her at the Rumble. Um, so nah, start big, end big. And it's just like I listening to the music, I was just like I heard it, and you could see everybody face bumping at the same time when the music came up. I literally just started like tearing up, and I thought she's home. I'm like, she made it back. And I'm like, selfishly, I would have wanted like Mercedes to come back with her as well, and I have those moments together now. But just thinking of like Naomi's back, and she's gonna be treated like the superstar that she is. Yes, give me that, please, and so much more, please. That was definitely my first thing. And then Bailey coming out already. Bailey was one of the favorites coming into this, so I had a feeling she was in. But it just made me doubt myself because they kept posting about her winning. So I was like, either swerving us by posting so much about her winning that she's not gonna win. And I was like, if she doesn't, then it's gonna disappoint a lot of us. And I was just not ready for that. Um, yeah, swerve. The other one was when I heard Jordan's music. Once I heard that siren, because obviously I'm thinking like I'm gonna WWE pay per view, so I hear the siren. I was like, it's not a Steiner. So whose music has a siren on it? I literally couldn't think of anybody because I was not thinking of TNA whatsoever. Even though I had seen reports that TNA was gonna be represented in the Rumble, and then I started to see Jordan Grace. I'm like you said, having those like little face offs, with her and Jade, her and Ivy, her and Bianca. I was
Mhm.
like, yes, 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 please, yes, when. I like that. I
I
was
would.
just like, yeah, I almost cried just thinking about the fact that she's here. And I'm glad that this time around, being that Triple H is in charge, she gets called TNA Knockouts Champion. It's not like it happened when Mickey was there. She wasn't TNA champion. She's a TNA Knockouts champion. And I love how
Mhm.
even during commentary they mentioned she's the one that just defeated Naomi to be a champion. And I love that moment between them of like the way that Naomi looks at her like, what the heck are you doing here? And all of a sudden they go from hugging to hitting each other in point 0.5 seconds. That was beautiful to watch. And I love how in
So good.
commentary they mentioned that. It's like we're not gonna like not talk about it. And I love how we got TNA chants in my area, like in my area where I was sitting at because of Jordan. So to me that was incredible to watch. And just like to think like only two women so far from other companies have come into the Rumble. It's not it hasn't happened with the guys so far. It's only been the women, which just makes it even more special to begin with. But yeah, it just made me think of like, dang, I want to see so many matches with Jordan on this side now. If you haven't seen it though, definitely go back to TNA's YouTube channel. They do have like a little kind of diary of her going into it when she gets ready for this, because she found out the week of the Orlando tapings that she was going to be at the Rumble. So like her thinking about getting her paperwork done and everything to be a part of it. And then when Naomi saw her there at the rehearsals and things like that, all the conversations started happening. And she didn't tell the girls, and she obviously knows a lot of the girls from TNA, like a Chelsea Green and a Mia Yim. So being like Chelsea's like, what the heck are you doing here? It's just incredible to think about as well. Um, Melon hit say, oh, here saying, I really hate the knockouts name in TNA Impact. They're wrestlers who are women. I like it though because it makes it sound different from like they're not just female wrestlers or like superstars or anything like that. I feel like it makes them like stand out if you say knockout, because to me it makes me think of TNA already because how long we've had it. Ed saying, I said on the post show, I know she loves TNA, but Grace on the big stage, look how incredible she looked on the big stage 40,000 people. That's where she belongs. And I was thinking, I wonder if that's the biggest like crowd she's ever been in front of. I never thought about that until later.
She's wrestled in CMLL, hasn't she? I mean, not like a CMLL arena could
Mm.
fill 40,000, but
Yeah, that's what I was
you,
thinking because she's done independent bookings, but and
mhm,
obviously different companies. But I was thinking, obviously TNA doesn't have the same amount of fans that WWE has in their venues. Obviously, no
mhm,
offense to TNA because I love TNA, but you know what I mean. I was thinking, is that the biggest crowd she's ever wrestled in front of? Because that's huge. And if you haven't,
mhm,
look at her Twitter. Look at all the people that have been saying, "Oh, like, oh, I love Jordan from her Rumble appearance. I'm gonna start watching TNA now because of her."
mhm.
Following other graphics to see how they can watch TNA now because of them. And it's like this is how I like these like
Brilliant.
relationships to be very healthy.
Mhm,
Look at that, how they're growing the audience for TNA because of one appearance from her, and then
mhm.
she lasted almost 20 minutes. A 20-minute appearance at the Rumble. Look how the changes is happening. And it's like it makes me think of like people are gonna like her and follow all the knockouts, and then you're gonna end up sticking to one of them, end up watching the show because of
Mhm,
them. So like that's that to me what a healthy relationship should be like. And I love
mhm,
seeing it. I really love the reaction to her. I'm glad all the people that recognized her when they did. It just made me so happy to see her name there.
mhm,
For me, I was also happy to see Ivy because as you said, I had interviewed her and asked her what she will be like for her to be in the Rumble because we hadn't know for sure yet. She wasn't
mhm,
on the graphics. She hadn't been announced yet. And the Creed brothers that were already part of the media, but they were not even in the Rumble match, but she was. So thinking this is her first Rumble and like having like that kind of face off with Jordan, they look great together. Their interactions on Twitter have
mhm.
been like incredible between both of them. I love them both
Yes.
already. Um, thinking this one, I will give her the MVP of the Rumble, and that is Chelsea Green. Chelsea did such great, like her moments, her selling, like the way I think is, if I'm not mistaken, is Becky trying to take her out, and she doesn't. When she doesn't get taken out, she's like coming in like, "I'm still alive, I'm still here." And her moments with like Piper when Piper saves her, and she like gives her a kiss on the cheek, or like with her hands, it's like, "Thank you for
Mhm,
saving me." And those moments when Piper goes to splash night, but she's splashing like Chelsea in the background, and Chelsea's like taking everything, her selling
um,
was just on point. I was like, to me, she
so
was the
good.
one that she caught my attention so many times. She was definitely to me like I said that MVP during the match. Um, Another one that I really enjoyed was Maxine Dupree. I had interviewed her as well about being part of the Rumble. And when she
Mhm,
came on and she went, "Thank you," and you could hear the echo from the crowd doing it with her. It sounded so great in my area. I was like, I'm so happy for her that people like I have supported her since she started so much to the point like
is that
they're actually doing it
Shush?
with her. Yeah, shush.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I love that reaction from the crowd there. Um, but yeah, thinking of like not only that, but the last couple of people that were in the match. We had Becky, that was one of the last ones. Roxanne, that was one of the last ones. Tiffany being there. First time I see Tiffany and Roxanne like in like live like that. That was amazing to see my NXT girls being represented there. Obviously, we had Jade, Liv Morgan. Obviously Bayley was one of them, and Jade. And I cannot say Jade is another one. Star Power. When she came out,
Mhm,
obviously at first it takes a couple of seconds for people to realize it's her because of the music, because we never heard it before, being that that
mhm,
was her debut. But once we knew it was her, like that crowd reaction and thinking of like those little face-offs that she had, the Nia Jax kind of moment, the way she lifts her up, the way she did her moment.
mhm,
I don't know if she had one with Jordan, but I believe Ivy might have been one, and like Becky, like those little kind of moments that she had with people in the Rumble, those interactions that make you go,
mhm.
"I want that." And that one with Bianca was definitely Chef's Kiss, definitely one of my favorites too. Oof, I
So good.
it's like I want to see them tag team, but I also want to see them against each other. So I don't know which one I want more. I definitely want both of them. But no, I was thinking of just like thinking overall all the last 8 ladies that were in that match because it was Bianca, Becky, as I said, Liv, Jade, Roxanne had been just eliminated when the picture happened, and then Tiffany, Bailey, and I always keep forgetting somebody. But those are kind of like 7 or 8 people that were in that picture, and Jade, they look so incredible. And it was like I like it. I was thinking, this is the group. Like this is the group. This is like your present and the future of the women's division right here, like right in
Mhm,
front of our eyes. And thinking of like this is Tiffany's first Rumble. This is Roxanne's second Rumble, and obviously having that crowning moment with Bailey winning it. Now I thought it was like we have so far 3 out of the 4 horsewomen winning the Rumble too, and I feel like it's a good way for Bailey to redeem herself. She said it before, I think it was WrestleMania, was it 37, 38, that she was like hosting it. She said, this is what I want for having to host that WrestleMania, because that WrestleMania I was doing so well, and I ended up hosting instead of being part of the card when I should have been part of the card. And I love seeing that kind of motivation from her, and watching also the bump with her and Naomi. I think it was a couple days after, thinking of like, she's like, look, I was not in any other promotional posters for the Rumble. Like, if you think about it, look at the pay-per-views I'm not a part of in the marketing. But she's like, I'm still here. And I love seeing that kind of motivation from her. And yes, keep it trending. Paramore for Mania. I want Paramore to do her theme song for WrestleMania. Like, that would be huge for me to see. But yeah, there's a lot going on, so that's why I rambled about it, because I've been able to talk about it anywhere else except for here. Mel knows about it. I've been holding this off for this, but yeah,
Yeah, the
overall,
go girl.
such a great experience to watch these ladies. After that, I was like, can I go home now? I don't think I need to watch anything else. I was good after that. Um, but thinking of like, I'm glad they were also the opener, because I feel like a lot of people would just enjoy that match so much that for the guys, they were like, it was okay after the guys happened. So
It was, yeah.
yeah, and like Ed mentions that I love this picture too. The last four eliminated woman looking up at Bailey as she celebrated was the best image. Liv, Bianca, Tiffany, and Jade shows the next 10 years when you add Rhea next to it as well, and
Yeah.
Bobby. I was hoping Cora in the women's Rumble match, but I hope she gets better soon. Yeah, I hope she has a speedy recovery. I do feel bad for the timing of it for her. I feel like she definitely probably could have been part of it too if she was healthy.
She
But
had a knee
yeah,
injury, didn't she?
yeah. So
Or an
um,
ACL?
I think I might know specifically what it was, but it was during a NXT live show, so it wasn't even part of like on the TV. She was
Ooh.
it was just a kind of like a freak injury if you think about it that way. A lot of live show, unfortunately, that cost her
Ain't that
too.
how it goes? I know that like some guys and girls, like Mayumi Watani, I've watched her roll down at least 3 flights of stairs, and all she got for it was like a bruise on her thigh the size of a small grapefruit, and then simplest thing happens and you break your leg. It's like, what happened?
Yeah, same thing happened with Charlotte. She was just doing her simple stuff, like not simple, but like regular stuff on SmackDown, and then she
Oh,
gets
that was a
injured, and the way she
terrible
did,
fall,
yeah,
though.
yeah,
Yeah, that was a bad fall.
yeah. But it's something that came out like a kind of like a freak accident if you think about it that way, because it's
Yeah,
something that they do often. But
yeah,
yeah, that was, I love this Rumble so much. I think it might be like, I don't want to say my top favorite, because I to me I the 2018 one means a lot to me. Just thinking of like, it's the first summer for the woman, and it took so long for them to get it. But this is definitely
yeah.
one of my top favorite ones, definitely for sure.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, and I love the
100%.
comment from Bailey in the press conference, because she was asked, "Oh, how come we didn't have any like legends in the Rumble?" And she said, "Look at the roster that we have. We don't need them. This roster is stacked from like the main roster to NXT. We don't need the legends to fill all these spaces. Look at the girls that we have, and we did great tonight, didn't we?
Yes,
Without
talent
them."
queen.
And I was like, "Yeah, this is how her. I don't like how she has that kind of like veteran mindset of like, we don't need to bring other people. Well, look at the roster that we have and the ladies that we can showcase here.
Hell
There's
yeah.
no we don't need anybody else from outside to come in." And she sounded like such a proud like leader, thinking about like, these are the women that we have here. Let's show
Mm,
them a little bit of them to them. And I love how, even when you think about it, with the entrances during the Rumble, everybody had a little showcase to them the first couple minutes before somebody else comes in, so everybody got like a little highlight when
yeah.
the match, it's still like, I don't want to say starting, but it's at the entrance parts for each one of them. But
Mhm,
yeah, this was definitely one of the best Rumbles I've seen in quite a bit for the ladies, and
mhm.
it just made me so happy. I definitely want to watch it like on Peacock, just to see how different it is, because I heard people saying that, oh, the crowd was quiet. And I was like, well, in my area we were not quiet. I can tell you, I could hear the echoes in that arena. So I hope
Yeah.
they mic'd the crowd really well, because it was definitely not the crowd. It was definitely the equipment. I can tell you that. Um, I lost my voice because I was screaming so much just for the women's match. So I recorded my reactions to it, and you can hear me like every time like I hear Naomi's, I'm like, yes, let's go. I'm so happy. Um, but yeah, it just like, it was such a good experience to watch it live. It was my first Rumble. So if you're going to a WWE pay-per-view, I recommend you at least go to the Rumble, because just thinking about the surprises makes it so exciting. And it's something that I loved about it this year too, is that in the poster, like the promotional poster for the girls, we only had like 47 women on the poster out of the 30. So it gives you room for those surprises. Like you don't know who's gonna show up and who isn't. You don't know who's gonna be here from NXT. So it made it
Mhm.
more exciting thinking of like we don't know who's next because we only had so many people that they advertised ahead of time. So you never know.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that because it's like there's no sense of mystery to it anymore. Everyone takes so much pleasure in spoiling it for everybody else. And it's like sometimes I wish these people who find out the information would just STFU, just sit down and shut up. Just keep it to yourself. Some of us don't want to be, in the know. Some of us want to be surprised by some stuff. And that was, like I said, I fell off the couch when I saw Jordan Grace because I was like, yes.
Yes.
I love that surprise and I live for that feeling. So to have that in both rumbles was very nice.
Yeah, and like I said, just thinking of Jordan just in itself, that was such a good surprise to me. I just love
Mhm.
watching the video that and I like how smart they were about it. They put the video on the TNA episode from last night too, of her
Yeah.
like kind of like the Rumble Diaries kind of thing. And
Yeah.
even just thinking about it, I love how TNA was like, we're gonna put her whole resume in her graphic, and then we're gonna put Royal Rumble entry here. And I was like, genius, keep doing that. We
Wow.
love it. And
Brilliant.
one thing I gotta give props to TNA's like social media marketing team. It's always on top of it. So when she was in the Rumble, it's always like, we're gonna release this Jordan match. Here you go. We're gonna put this about Jordan here. They know what they're doing with the SEO. They know it. So it's like they knew her name was gonna be trending and people were gonna be talking about her for the weekend. So like we'll release everything we can with Jordan, so you guys can enjoy it and give you a preview of what she's like. Um,
Wow.
yeah,
That is just a competent marketing
they're very great at
committee
that. I will
there.
definitely, yeah, I'll definitely give it props for that because they do it during AEW too. Whenever somebody shows up, it's like, oh, Sting's retiring, so it's like Sting's greatest moments in TNA, and then like they know what they're doing. The announcement just came out, so just right along with it.
Smart,
So
smart.
yeah, so yeah, I feel like this Rumble, I feel like it definitely meant a lot to me. Just not only being their live, but being able to watch all these ladies that I never got to watch live before. It was just so
Mhm.
nice, and thinking about
Yeah.
like I watched Jordan on a smaller venue and then watching her on a bigger venue not too long after. So yeah, very happy for her. Not only as
Mhm.
champion, for her to have that moment there, and to have it with Naomi, to have that last night moment with Trinity before Trinity goes, it's part of the WB again. Yeah, and it was just incredible. I definitely enjoyed it. I definitely I want to see who like produced it because I feel like that they're very well implementing a little bit
Mhm.
of everybody. So yeah, really well done. I just wanted to say my reactions for the show tonight so we can talk about it more in depth because I know you have watched it too. But yeah, overall that's definitely one of my top favorite Rumble like matches
Oh, yeah.
anywhere. I had to find a way to rank them though because I feel like maybe we should do that as a little ladies fashion showcase kind of um
Oh,
I forgot to call it because it's not. I'll kind of call it an episode, but to for us to react to all the Rumble matches and see the differences between them and the booking and stuff like
yes.
that. We wanted to do it before the Rumble, but we didn't have time. So I think we should definitely
Oh,
do it after the Rumble still,
yeah.
because all the matches are available on YouTube to watch if you haven't checked them out.
Mhm.
But definitely just like kind of watching along to them and reacting to them. So we'll see what we call it. We had to find out a name for it because it shouldn't be a regular episode of the show, but
Yes.
yeah,
We'll
yeah,
figure it out.
definitely. Yeah, we'll think about it. You're the creative mind behind everything.
We'll send out a message to the creative minds that we know and see if we can't make something work.
Yes. But no, that's all we had for this week. Unless you want to add anything else before you plug your stuff.
No, no, I don't think I have anything else. Everything else we're saving for the Japanese wrestling update in a few hours.
Yes, I see you. Okay, here we go. If I got it correctly, yes, I did. There we go.
Yes. So if you're wanting to follow a Melball, you can follow me on the X thing at Collins Melball. You can follow me on everything else: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Mastodon, and Blue Sky at Melball Collins. You can also catch me on our Facebook page, Andrea Melball's Wrestling Talk, as well as our YouTube channel, Andrea Melball's Wrestling Talk, where we talk about NJBW, Stardom, as well as local professional wrestling. And that one was a little controversial, the last one we put out there. We're a little scared. Well, I'm a little scared, but that is what that is.
Oh, there we
You
go.
can also
There's more for you, Mel.
NJBW. Oh, yeah, I watch NJBW on njbwworld.com and I watch Stardom on stardom-world.com. It is 999 yen and approximately $10 Canadian, give or take, depending on our dollar. But still a great price to watch some great wrestling. Andre's going to be mad that I just did our Andre and Melball plug there. What else? You can catch me in a couple hours on our local establishment where Andre and I will be doing Andre and Malball's Japanese wrestling update, where we're going to update you guys about all of the NJBW and Stardom news from the last week. So we go live at
Yes.
8 p.m. Mountain Time. And that's all my stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna go with mine in a row. First off, if you haven't seen it yet, we have. Well, I have my new shirt. You can find it for you where, so you can scan that QR code right there and get my new shirt. I don't have the picture here. I have to switch it over in a little bit. I definitely have Melball modeling my new merch there. So if you haven't checked it out, you can go to the link or scan the QR code there. And then the next one is, if you like to shop at the shop, just you can scan the QR code as well. The prices won't change for you, but just a little bit will go to me, and that's what we use for like the editing stuff, and that's what we use for the camera, that we use for promotional things for not only us but for OLE as well. So that helps pay for that. So if you haven't yet, any other sales, the sales are exactly the same as they are on the website. The only thing is like a percentage of it goes to me. So if you are thinking of shopping at the shop, there's your QR code. If you want the link, I can send it over to you as well. So it's another option. And a lot of you are here thanks to Tom. So always appreciative of Tom. If you are here on the YouTube channel, don't forget to hit subscribe. Click on that bell to be notified whenever I upload or I'm live for next time. And if you're watching the show right now, click that like button right there. Let's people say smash that like button. Um, yeah, I just hit 200 subscribers over the weekend, thanks to my media junket. So really happy about that, and it has over 400 views. So really happy that that's the most popular video I got on my channel so far.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, and then here we have. Oh, here we go. Well, here I think is 5 pounds English money, so not bad. Oh, there you go. That's a good
Hey,
one. Oh,
yes.
before we go, Alex has a question here. I just wanted your opinions. Possibly think that we can recover from the allegations. I think they can. It just will take a little bit of time because right now they just have a dark cloud over the company. I just say that I feel like once it gets settled, it'll take some time. I think because now not only the document but the names are coming out, so I think for a little bit it kind of have a dark time. But I think they can
Mhm.
recover. It just will take some time. Yeah. What do you think, Mel?
I think the biggest part is going to be us as fans separating the past people from the present people, and once they flush out the people who are involved in this or potential people who would do this kind of behavior, I think the company can absolutely recover because it's very easy to make something kind of look better and a lot harder to make something be better. And like I said, once they get rid of the roadblocks, it'll make them be a lot better, I think. But yeah, I think you're right though. It will take some time. And I think it will take getting like it will be after the case is resolved. Like whatever resolution that they come to, it's going to be after that point is when the recovery part of the WWE is going to start there. Good
Yeah.
question.
I definitely want to bring up, this is the shirt design. As you can see, Mel's there modeling it with Mike the Ref too. So that's
Yes.
the one that I was wearing for the Rumble. I was wearing my own shirt for the Rumble. So yes, I was egotistical for once. Um, and you can find me again. I am very close to reaching my goal on Twitch. I have 95 followers out of 100. So if you haven't followed me there, hit that follow button. It doesn't cost you anything. It'll just notify you when I go live. So it'll be easier for you in the end. But you can
Mhm.
find me on my Twitter and Blue Skies, Astrid Pizarro. Threads and Instagrams, Astrid Pizarro 20. Like I said, if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button on the channel. Please do on the YouTube. We're trying to grow on there as much as we can, especially with Ladies Fashion Showcase. And yeah, hit that bell to be notified whenever anything's uploaded, whenever I'm live. Usually on Tuesdays, I go live on Twitch with Ed talking about, we do taking over, talking about NXT, and it usually goes live on my YouTube channel the day after. And a lot of things are going on behind the scenes. So I'm working on some interviews coming up pretty soon, and some things coming up. So I'm just
Yes.
waiting for announcements to be live for me to say more. But yeah, there'll be more stuff coming on my YouTube channel sometime soon. But I definitely want to thank everybody for their support. And again, thank you, Tom, for the raid. We appreciate you a lot and your advice and everything you help us with. But yeah, everybody watching, thank you for watching, and then we'll see you guys next time.